2, 3. That's Bill Clinton.
There's a number of unique things that happen during this whole process. It's kind of like a series of very coincidental events. The team, which was made up of people like Dan Lonigan, found this mural as people were beginning to take off and unpeel the old wall that was constructed back in 1966-67.
I was here to tag a new computer that someone had purchased, and their office is upstairs. And I was not aware that they were redoing Edwards Hall. So when I got here, I walked in and asked one of the construction workers if the people were still in their offices upstairs. And he told me that they had been moved out quite some time ago. And that was when I noticed the paintings behind the wall.
We were able to, within a very, very short period of time, peel off the murals, which are on canvas, be able to save them, send them up to Williamstown Art, who did the preservation and the restoration, and preserve something that was rather unique in Rhode Island history that we don't have much of anymore, and that is the works of Gino Conti.
It was sort of my baby, getting them off the wall, so I decided to take responsibility to performing the treatment and getting them back to you in the best condition that they possibly could be. The large pieces of plaster that would still adhere to the back of the fabric, they all had to be mechanically removed with either scalpels or sharpened chisels. Rather than the painstaking process of spalling all of that off from the reverse, because it was so well adhered, to just incorporate that in a lining of the painting. They were lined on this device, which is called a vacuum hot table, but rather than lining them traditionally face up, I lined them face down. And the whole idea was that any deformation that would be on the back, you would send to the back. And then rather than putting them on panels, adhering them to stretchers. A stretcher is a wooden support system. The key component to a stretcher is that they're keyable. They have wooden keys that could be put in the cross members or at the corners that allow us to put tension on whatever we put on them. You tap in the keys, that expands the stretcher slightly, and you should have almost perfect plane. The whole idea of putting them either on a panel or a stretcher would be in the future, if they ever had to be removed or you decided to locate them elsewhere, you just pull them away from where they're installed and they could go just about anywhere that you would want. What we would like to operate under is that if somebody disagreed with what happened to these, or they needed to remove what we did in the future, the fact that we're using acrylic emulsion colors on top of oil would allow anybody to take the acrylic emulsion off. And so, you know, here's a palette. I've just mixed 3 colors together, and I'm sort of going at that loss in his leg right now. That'll dry just a little bit darker, but this is the kind of slow, sort of somewhat painstaking process that they're going through right now. The final process before they go back is that they'll receive probably multiple coats of a varnish application on top of the paint. Conti did not varnish these pictures. I don't know whether that was a choice on his part, but because we would be employing a matte varnish, you're not going to be able to tell that they're varnished, but it will be a surface application that will ensure their preservation in the future. They'll be on their stretchers, which would make them portable. They'll have plastic backings adhered to the reverse of the stretcher, which would minimize airflow. They should be in perfect plane, again, because the stretcher and expanding it is going to allow that to happen. So the issue is how do they attach themselves to the wall? And we'll iron that out. They actually are going to be sitting on a molding, which is sort of the bottom lip of the niche that they're going into.
First of all, we have this wonderful building that is being used for our symposiums and our colloquiums and large classes, 900 seats, being fully restored. And it's been done in such a beautiful manner. But now to have the Conti murals as part of the entrance lobby to this building for people that come here from, whether they're students, freshmen coming from out of state or in-state, or whether they're visitors coming to listen to an honors colloquium, they're greeted by a Gino Conti mural it's wonderful that it's here at the University of Rhode Island, that preservation, that as the president said, that lens into our art history in Rhode Island is right here at URI.